wanna be a billionaire so fucking bad. Buy all of the things I never had. I wanna be on the cover of Forbes magazine, smiling next to Oprah and the Queen. Oh,
get it, Bruno. Get it, Bruno. All right. I had to enter like that, man. I just had to. It felt necessary. So y'all saw the title of the video, man. Should billionaires exist? We're gonna dive into this question right here, right now. This is a question that I pondered a lot, man, over the course of my life, because it's always been at the center of my internal battle over what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do I want to leave my impact on this world? Do I want to leave my impact through some weird, convoluted way where I become a Bill Gates, a Jeff Bezos, and amass some big fortune and try to give back or whatever? Do I try to leave my mark in the world that way through the private sector? Or do I focus on the public sector, activism, and politics? And over the course of my life, I've gradually kind of drifted towards the latter. That seemed more direct to me. That seemed more moral to me. And from the simple point of this, man, Jeff Bezos owns $150 billion. $150 billion. You know how much it costs to fund a tuition-free public college and university system where a child in the United States can go to a public college or university free of charge, not have to worry about anything, any costs, any whatever. It's funded by a tax on Wall Street speculation. You know how much that costs? Around $60 billion. Around $60 billion. Jeff Bezos is worth 2.5 times that figure. He could pay for the children of this country's higher education 2.5 times fold. One man. That's deep, man. That's deep. And when I think of such imbalance, the fact that one person is now owning more wealth than entire regions of the country, right? That 3 men in this country now own more wealth than the bottom half of all households in the United States. Why should that exist? Why should such egregious imbalance in wealth exist? You know? I just think it's immoral. I think that wealth, yes, should be redistributed into the hands of Jeff Bezos' workers, into the hands of the working class, the people who are powering these huge corporations and amassing these huge fortunes. That should be the reality. It's built on our backs, on our labor, on our blood, sweat, and tears. We should get a piece of the pie, at least a larger one. That's the way I think it should go, man. But there's also a flip side to it that I've always kind of had a soft heart for, and it's this. I never want to live like I had to grow up. I don't want my children to live like I had to grow up. I ain't gonna make it out of the scene like, oh, we were homeless or anything like that. Of course not, man. My parents did the best they could for me in terms of keeping the roof over my head, in terms of keeping the power going and paying the bills. But there were times, where the money ran out and you felt it. You felt it. Like, that's the way it was. And that's the way it goes for the majority of the country. But I think we were somewhere in the middle of the working class. You know what I'm saying? When you think of a working class family, particularly a black one, I think that's what we were. And doesn't mean that we were on welfare for all my life. Doesn't mean that, we had it good and we were living in some nice cookie cutter house. But there were times where we struggled and there were times where we felt a little bit more breathing room. Overall, we were staying afloat, but barely. And that's how I felt for a lot of my childhood. And that weighs on the child. Because it weighs on the parent and that therefore weighs on the child. It affects you. It affects the whole household. So I don't want that type of financial insecurity to ever be felt by my children. And I don't want to ever have to feel it again. I never do. And I always feel like if you work hard enough, if you get ahead, if you put in the work, you should be rewarded. You should always be rewarded, right? I think that should be the type of system that we have. It should be more of a meritocracy, and that's obviously not the system that we have today. There's tens of millions of working poor in this country. People who are literally busting their ass for 40 hours a week and are still living in poverty. Meanwhile, you got Jeff Bezos on $150 billion. It's It's crazy to me, man. So, no, billionaires shouldn't exist. At least not on the scale that they do. Like, if you make $1 billion, should the government take all of that wealth from you? No. If you're making $150 billion, should the government take the vast majority of that wealth from you? Yes, I believe so. No man should own $150 billion. No man should own $50 billion. No man should own that much money when you're literally owning more wealth than tens of millions of people and billions of people across the globe. You're owning more wealth than some country's GDP. So, I think that's ridiculous, man. It's absolutely ridiculous. That's not the way it should work. That's immoral. That's immoral. You think Jeff Bezos put in billions times more work than any single one of us? Really? You think Bill Gates put in billions of times more work and labor and blood and sweat and tears than any single one of us? Hell no. That shouldn't be the way the system works. But they've rigged it so that that's the way it is. That shouldn't be the way it works. You shouldn't be able to amass $150 billion. Should you be able to amass $1 billion? Maybe. But there should be caps. There should be caps. That type of wealth should be redistributed into the hands of the people who helped create that wealth for you. You built it on our backs. Yes, it was maybe your idea and your invention and you were at the helm. But it was us who powered it. The labor force, the workers. You know? The people just at the bottom. Just trying to barely make it and just keep on surviving. So, it's a tough situation, man. I see both sides of the equation, but I always, in my heart, feel more of a commitment to the working class, to balancing the scales, to making sure that any child born in this country has equal opportunities at success, regardless of if they're rich, poor, black, white, blue, purple, gay, straight, whatever. That's always going to be my goal. That's always going to be where my priorities lie, regardless of how much personal gain I want to attain. And that's the way I think it should be for every single one of us, man. And unfortunately, that's not. You know, I think that's human nature and the sort. Some people want to get ahead. That's some people's drive. They want to get ahead. They want to make it. Not just make it, they want to dominate. That's some people's drive. And I think it always will be. But there has to be a balance, right? Between ensuring that people are taken care of, that basic necessities are a right, not a privilege, but also so the Jeff Bezos of the world can feel like the dick is large, and and they're living it, So should billionaires exist? Mostly no. And I think that's a fair answer, man. I think if you're being honest about the way society should work, I think that should always be the answer. $1 billion, man. Just think about what you do with that money. You'd be set for 10 more generations. No one man should have all that wealth and power. That's my honest opinion.
With the boys, yeah, we making all this noise. Can't complain, riding in the fast lane. To the top, we don't stop, up till past 5 o'clock. Smoking trees.